The Ginja's been slaying lawns for about 20 years now, and I've got some exciting news for you guys. I'm creating a space called the Lawn Masters Academy to help you at home be able to slay that lawn. The Lawn Masters Academy is designed to put a method to the madness of diagnosing your lawn. Whether you're a beginner lawn care person or an expert, there's something for you. If you want to get on the wait list, go to lawnmastersacademy.com and put in your email address. If you're just tuning in, I decided to kill out my lawn that was only a year and a half old. In the last few videos, I show you the process of killing my lawn, scalping it down, scarifying it, all in the name of comparing 3 different varieties of grass. If you're interested in seeing the full process, these videos are linked in the upper right-hand corner of this video. The first common mistake people make is not investing in a quality seed. So excited to announce this experiment will deal with the RPR, the Barenbrug Top Secret RPR with CSI spreading perennial ryegrass, and the Ryanor Elite Turf Grass with OptiRoot, also a perennial ryegrass. The second common mistake that people make is not knowing how much seed to put down. For a general overseed for sparse lawns, I usually focus on about 2 to 3 pounds per 1,000 square feet. And when we're dealing with something like I am, where we're starting from scratch, I'm going to shoot anywhere between 8 and 12 pounds per 1,000 square feet. Now for this experiment, I want a total of 12 pounds over 1,000 square feet, and we're going to divide it 6 pounds for each side. Now it's time to get to the fun part, which is putting the seed down. Starting on the red line. In 3, 2, 1. Seeding mistake number 3. What I want to show you is what it needs to look like. I've got a few areas where I passed over a little bit too much, a little bit clumpy. So when it comes to seeding, seed spacing is really important. Like this right here. This is actually really nice. I've got a little bit of space in between each and every single one of them. And you notice when I rounded the corner here, I've got way too much. So I'm just gonna spread that out a little bit here and there. Make sure that I've got some spacing. Now I've overcrowded seeds in the past just to see what would happen. And what ends up happening is you've got 3 or 4 seeds kind of competing for space, and the roots don't get as deep as they should because they're also competing for space. The color ends up being a little off too. Now this isn't the end of the world. It's still gonna grow, still gonna thin out once you start working it by mowing it and doing everything. So I'm not overly concerned. To be honest with you, 6 pounds of rye goes a long way. I mean, we're putting it down super heavy at about 12 pounds per 1,000 square feet. You could technically get away with between 7 and 10 pounds, I believe. But again, we want to keep it even. We want to get as thick as possible before the winter comes. We're already riding a fine line. So for the sake of keeping it even, that's what I chose to do. They both look really well. Seed spacing is good. Now our next step is to put peat moss over the top. Now, I fought this process for a very long time using a peat moss spreader, but to be honest with you, when I've spread it by hand, when I've tried to put it in other devices, it just doesn't spread well. You put peat moss too thick, it's very acidic. It's not gonna allow for very good seed germination. So you definitely want a thin layer. If you don't have the money to spend on a peat moss spreader, like the Landzie that I'm using is very expensive, but it does a fantastic job. Go to your local rental shop, pick one up. It's more than worth it. A lot of you guys are wondering how many bales. Well, I'm using 3 cubic yards, each one of these bags that I picked up at Home Depot earlier. I'm using 1 1/4 per 1,000 square feet. So I picked up 2 bags just in case. Now, 1 light layer does the job. Now, there's a couple of things about peat moss, right? Number 1, it's going to hold the water tight to the seed. You'll notice I'm not gonna roll this. We already did the scarifying. The seed's gonna fall in those holes, and once we start watering it, great. I also want to not roll. If you wanna roll it, it's an extra step. It does help out. It will help out a lot to increase that seed to soil contact. I just found that it's an extra step that's not necessary for me. Easiest way for me to use the peat moss is just to put the bag inside of a wheelbarrow, take the chunks out, pop it into the actual barrel. That way I can move the wheelbarrow to me in each one of the spots, so I don't have to necessarily start and stop and lug the spreader every single place that I'm going. Makes it for an easy job. This concludes our common seeding mistakes and pushes us one step forward. Tune in next time as we talk about best watering practices when seeding a lawn. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, hit me up in the comments down below. You know I'd love to help you guys out. Until next time, guys, the Pest and Lawn Ginja, we're slaying lawns.